Ralph. How are you?
Good afternoon. It's been a long day.
All right. Well, I want to go over with you your lesson for today. I was able to come in your class and see a whole group and a paired activity. And I also want to talk about last week we set a goal for you to ensure the students are using vocabulary in their explanations. And I noticed that you met that goal today when I was in your class. You corrected and encouraged the students when they did or did not use vocabulary math terms. So, for an example, you corrected the students who did not say cents. So if they said 75, you corrected them and said it should be 75 cents. You also encouraged the students to say decimal. I think one of the students said dots, and you said, no, it's not called a dot. What is it called? It's called a decimal. So how do you think that impacted your lesson?
Well, first, thank you for the vocabulary cards with the visuals, because it always gave them a way to have a resource to go back and look at when I saw them actually practicing alone. But just when they started the writing piece, it gave a clear understanding that they made the connection with what those math terms were and exactly what they were doing.
Okay. So we're going to look at your lesson plan. Because I want to dive today into the I do part of your lesson. As you remember, the I do provides the students with detailed instructions to complete the objective. So I want to know, what would your I do look like if I was to come into your room, and what is the key? What do you think is the key to an effective I do?
I think the key to an effective I do is me modeling for the students, because during the I do part, that's when I actually show them what the expectations are.
Okay. Well, that's partly right.
Okay.
I do is a part of the lesson where you want to include modeling, but you also want to include your thinking, what you're thinking. So you want to think aloud.
Okay.
Right.
Think aloud.
In your lesson today, when I walked in, the kids were, during your I do, you asked the kids questions. The students were able to count with you. They added the money with you. And we want this time to be explicit instruction for the students. So we're going to look at an exemplar I do to see what it should look like.
The reason why I wrote over here is just so that we can go over some of our fraction skills. But before we get our fraction skills,
and notice how she started with her teaching point, because we do want the kids to know what the objective is. And if you also notice here, she's providing the students before they start with explicit instructions on how to carry out the task.
That's easy. That's 8. 8. Good job, Mario. 3 and 5. That's 16.
And even though it's a small test, you can see that the students are able to carry this task out based off of her I do, giving them those explicit instructions. So let's talk a little bit about what do you think is the gap between what I saw in class today and her I do.
I definitely forgot to do think aloud. And I think I was working more with the kids. I wasn't exclusive to that I do piece. It wasn't just Miss Bentley teaching them. I was doing too much engagement, maybe.
Okay, right, I agree. I
Okay.
agree. So you definitely want to think aloud so that the students will know what they should be thinking when they go off to do the task themselves. So what do you think your next action step should be?
I need to script out my think alouds.
Okay.
Exactly what am I gonna say for each piece?
All right. So your action step is to deliver an effective I do as a core part of your lesson by modeling, providing the students with explicit instructions to complete the objective. Now I want you to write that out, and then we're going to review it. So I want to make sure that you understand what the task, what your objective is for the I do.
Okay. So I know that we are learning to count money, count the value of the money to get a total. Okay. So if we're counting the value of the money to get a total, I know that I need to start thinking about what's the value of each coin first?
Correct.
Okay.
You can also show them the coins, cause if you're gonna have them to use them, they need to know what they be familiar, what they
So
look
I'll
like.
also give them a visual,
Mhm.
manipulative.
And make sure that you give them the explicit instruction of exactly how you want them to count the coins or add them, coins up.
Okay.
So now we're gonna do a little role play. So I'll be the student, I want you to be the teacher. I want you to recreate your I do from the lesson today. You started already scripting out your I do. And so what I want you to script it out, what you're gonna say word for word to ensure that your I do is short and you're showing the essential parts in, for the students. Okay, so I'm gonna give you about a minute or so you can script out your I do,
Okay.
and then I want you to model it for you.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Okay.
So I use these as my manipulative to show you
Okay.
exactly what I'm thinking of doing. Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon.
Well, yesterday, I know you remember, we started talking about coins and introducing the value of $1.
Right.
So today, in our lesson, we're gonna talk a little bit more about identifying the value of these coins and how we can use the value to add up the total.
Okay.
So when doing so, I'm gonna think first, what is my largest value of these coins? Well, I know a $50 is, well, half of 100, so that's 50 cents. I know my next largest coin is a quarter. I know that's a fourth, so I need 4 of them. Okay, so that's 25 cents. I know that this is a quarter, so I'm gonna put those together. I know the next, a dime. So I know I need 10 dimes to make $1. So one of them is 10 cents. And I'll match that together. Well, I know the penny is only worth 1, so that'll be last. 1 cent. So my nickel is next. So if I know it's 5 cents. Okay, well now that I know how much each of these coins are worth, I'm gonna now count on from each of these coins to add up my total value. Okay, yes ma'am.
Can I help you count?
I want you to just wait 1 second, watch me do it first,
Okay.
and then we're gonna do it together,
Okay.
okay? All right, so I have $1/2, that's 50 cents. I'm gonna take my total, and I'm gonna add them together. So I know that's 50 cents. And I'm gonna make sure that I line up, because it's a decimal here to show the value of what 50 cents looks like. And I'm gonna put my dollar sign right there. Next coin that I have is 25 cents. That's a quarter, so 25 plus another 25, that's 50 cents. I always have to line up my decimals. Well, I know a dime is 10 cents, and I have 2 of them, so that's, skip counting my tens. 10, 20 cents. Nickels, 5 cents, so that's 5, 10, 15 cents. You see, I'm making sure that every time my decimal is lined up. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pennies, which is 5 cents. But this is a tricky one. I know it's 5 cents, but do you see that each of these have 2 digits behind my decimal? Well, 5 is only a 1 digit, but I have to put a 0 there for my placeholder because I don't have any tenths or tens. And I'm going to add my total. always start at my smallest value, so that's 5 plus 5. Well, that's 10. I can't write 2 digits in one place, so I gotta make sure I regroup over because that's now 10 cents. So I carry that 1 right over into my 10th place. And I add. I'm gonna start with my largest because I know 5 and 5 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13, plus another is 14. But remember, we can't write 2 digits in one place, so I now know that's 14 tenths. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And I regroup it over. I now have my whole number. But do you see how that decimal stayed in that same place? So, okay, I have a total of $1.40. So what we're gonna do now, guys, I'm gonna allow us to do it together. So I'm gonna now watch as we do this with our partners.
Okay. And we're just gonna look at the I do part. So that was very good.
Oh, I forgot. Okay.
That was very good. You gave explicit instruction. You continue to use those math terms while giving the instruction. So that was excellent. So now we want to look at your lesson plans, and we want to work on your I do for tomorrow.
Okay.
So you want to write down and script out your I do for tomorrow, ensuring that you give that explicit instruction and you're modeling for the students what they should be doing. And we'll follow up, and I'll come in your room tomorrow.
Okay.
During your math time to see your I do. And if you notice that I point at my palm, that means you're getting off script, and to go back and look at your script and get back refocus.
Okay.
All right, so let's look at your lesson plan.
Okay, so tomorrow I know we're gonna continue with adding our money, but I think we're gonna add some dollars to it so that I have some whole numbers to add up.
Okay.
Okay, and I have to make sure that I'm always redelivering that teaching point so they'll know when I release them to use that strategy.
Correct.
Okay.
So you start off with your teaching point.
Okay. Then I'm gonna go through, we're gonna quickly review our coins and their value.
And then because you're introducing dollars, you want to make sure you give explicit instructions with using the dollar to